Hello everyone, and welcome to this next video recording from the RICS Tech Partner Programme. My name is Andrew Knight. I've been with RICS for nearly 11 years now, and my role here within the standards, regulatory and thought leadership part of the organisation is to look at the effect of data and tech right across the built and natural environment. RICS as a professional body has over 130,000 members. They're working all over the world, working right across the property life cycle and working across residential, infrastructure, commercial, real estate and all its alternative versions as well. So a hugely broad canvas upon which data and tech is having quite a revolutionary effect at the moment. And I'm really pleased this morning to have William and Indy from Under the Hammer join me. So William, Indy, great to have you on board. And what I always like to do to kick off these conversations is really to kind of ask you to give me a bit of a backstory, both on you and your colleagues and how you've come to this point and why you set up Under the Hammer. So over to you, William and Indy.
So yeah, Andrew, firstly, thank you for having us and inviting us as part of the RICS Tech Partner Programme. I myself have been in property now for 15 years, pretty much worked for a wide spectrum of sectors, started off in lettings, went on to management, then also residential sales and commercial. So got a very good understanding of every possible sales method available out there. I then went on to found Under the Hammer Group, which I'm the founder and chief executive officer of. Under the Hammer basically was formed with the scope to improve the flaws that the residential sales industry faces, one being the major fall-throughs, and secondly, focused on automation and finding more time in the day for estate agents, as you know, viewings, etc., offers and compliance is all very manual at the moment. So yeah, Under the Hammer was founded to improve sales method and also focus on automating process as well.
Brilliant.
Thanks. And William?
Yeah, so my background's in branding, marketing, web development, that sort of thing. I'm a student of a very successful branding company in Birmingham called Rebrand. So yeah, I had some great mentors there called Ashley Taylor, who taught me sort of everything I know from branding, marketing, strategy, web development, app development, that sort of thing. Indy and I have been friends for a long while, passed across numerous times in the past few years. Joined Under the Hammer around about 6 months ago. As soon as Indy and I were talking about sort of conversations about Under the Hammer, how they're growing, what challenges he's facing, what his goals are, his aspirations, quickly aligned with what resonates really well with me in terms of what impact can we have, what can we do, what really drives us. So we were really aligned immediately in our goals, our personal goals, and the goals of Under the Hammer really aligned with me. So I took the leap from being a partner in probably Birmingham's best branding agency, Rebrand, to come on board with Indy and really see what we can do and how far we can together we can push and what impact we can make in the industry. So yeah, it's been very exciting. It's been a great 6 months so far. We've rebranded, we've realigned, we've re-identified, we've rebuilt. Where there's a lot of exciting things happening behind the scenes. We've really focused on what talent we can bring in that helps our goals and our core mission. So yeah, so that's my background.
That's great. Thanks, William. I guess that what I'm really interested to sort of understand, and I think you alluded to it, Indy, was the kind of challenges, the sort of the problems that you're hoping to solve or have solved. So I'd be really interested to hear a bit more about what you think those issues are and what Under the Hammer is doing tangibly to kind of solve those issues, because you alluded to a lot of issues around productivity, about freeing up time within that process. So I'd be really keen to hear what the issues are and what you're doing to solve those.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge that we have had as a business is the mindset of estate agents and the reluctancy of change. Everyone's so used to what they're doing. I think change is something that most people are afraid of. So yeah, it's mostly around mindset and education aspects that we've really struggled with as a business. But firstly, auctions automatically scares individuals when they hear the word. I think the word auction, across the nation, just automatically has a stereotype of being cheap, run down, problematic properties, when in actual fact, if we break down the actual word of an auction, it ultimately relates to finding the highest bidder for a given property. So I think just an education around what an auction actually is has been a huge challenge for us. It's not an actual auction that sells a property cheap, it's the terms of the sale. So if the completion period is 28 days, then naturally the amount of buyers are limited in that scenario. However, in a scenario where the timeframes are extended and it opens up to every possible buyer, then auctions actually achieve the maximum value anyone's prepared to pay, but also provide the security as well, which goes back to what I mentioned earlier, reduces the fall through rates, which the industry is facing, which is currently 1 in 3 sales. So that's been a huge challenge for us. And then the second is I feel because agents are going out and selling properties, it's almost like we're doing fine as it is, and there's a reluctancy to change. So it's just a change.
Yeah, it's one exercise that when I first came in here, we was combating sort of the agent's mindset and it's how it can be a problematic mindset to not look at change and not look at ways you can innovate and automate and use tech to your advantage. And I mean, one of the immediate sort of recent biggest fall downs in history that springs to mind is the Blockbuster industry, company. So the Blockbuster company obviously were adverse to change. They had plenty of opportunities to change. They had opportunities to buy Netflix. They had opportunities to. Netflix actually launched a streaming service before Blockbuster actually died. So they had chances. They even had blueprints from a company that were absolutely booming to follow. But Blockbuster was stuck in its ways. It was doing what it always did, and then obviously look what happened in the end. I think Netflix is valued at nearly 250 billion now. Blockbuster closed its last store in 2013, I believe. But the whole mindset is a big challenge that we do face. Agents are stuck in their ways and they're reluctant. So I think, but it's not a mindset. It's not a challenge that we're facing. It's a challenge that a lot of prop tech companies are facing. So I think it's a collaborative challenge that we all have to face together in terms of, okay, how do we improve the mindset? How do we empower agents? What do we have to say? How do we make them less adverse to tech? Because if we don't do this, then there is going to become a Blockbuster scenario happening within the industry. There will be the Blockbuster of the industry. There will be the Netflix guys of the industry. And yeah, the blueprint's there. So for us, the mindset challenge is huge, but again, it's a collaborative mindset challenge that all prop tech companies should be tackling together.
Yeah, it is an entire industry issue. It's not something that we face or an agent faces, but and this is why discussions like this are great, because ultimately everyone needs to play their part in order to overcome these issues that we're facing.
Yeah, we was only touching the other day on automation.
Yeah,
and then we was thinking about, okay, how great automation is and what aspects of our platform we're going to automate and how that can improve the lives of agents. But then we were talking about how people's perception and agents' perception of automation and how their negative perception will be the first thing that they think about. So when they think about automation, they're probably going to think, okay, people are going to lose their jobs. It's going to hinder me. It's going to take away my work. It's not going to help me. Whereas if you look at it with a positive perspective, automation allows you to focus on customer success. Automation allows you to go out and win more instructions. Automation allows you to get more fulfillment from your role by the mundane tasks that you don't really have to be focusing on. Automation can actually help you to remove those, so then you can get more fulfillment. You can work on building your brand. You can work on your mindset. You can really give people fulfilling roles that they're going to be a lot happier from. So when we were having this little workshop internally about, okay, automation is going to be one of the mindsets that people are going to be adverse to. How do we go about it? And we all came up with the answer, and we was all of the agreement that, look, automation is coming, for one, but it's two, the automation won't make people lose jobs. The leadership decisions on what do you do once automation is here is what will make people lose their jobs or not. Okay. So and it's constantly about perception, and again, automation is one aspect of the prop tech world that's here and that people can benefit from and should benefit from. But yeah, that just to touch on the mindset challenge is what we've been having. It's all about perspective. It's about we're a prop tech company that can provide automation, innovation, all these great fancy features and processes and whatever else. But the mindset is the biggest problem that we're facing as a company.
In actual fact,
and specifically
to create more opportunities rather than using it or viewing it as a threat. It should be used to create more opportunities. If I've now got 80% more time in my day, what new opportunities can I create? And I think the agents that have used our platform officially have actually found that they're far more productive with the same amount of staff, and they're now, because they're way more productive, they're now increasing their staff levels. So it's actually the actual reverse. It's just the way people look at it. They've got the two options. They can cut staff, absolutely, but if it's used in the right way, it can actually create more opportunities to do other things as well. So yeah, absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
So I mean, given that there's obviously both a reticence to use technology itself, but also, you know, the reticence particularly about the concept of auctions. Does that go back as far as the seller of the property as well? Is there a reticence to actually present that as an option to the seller, or is it purely the agent that's actually not receptive to that, let alone automating the process around the auction?
It's a nationwide issue, but I feel if estate agents are educated on it, ultimately when they're delivering the message and educating their clients, that's how it will get out there a lot quicker. So yeah, like I said, it's not an us problem or a you problem, it's an entire nation problem.
Right,
and
okay.
I think everyone needs to come together and you know, deliver the correct mindset and what it actually is. So yeah, it's nationwide.
And given, I guess everybody's clearly familiar with, you know, what you could call an analog auction, you know, room full of people, you know, the hammer going down, you know, the name of your firm says it all. What does the automated version look like? What benefits is the technology bringing? And I guess obviously the pandemic's had an effect in terms of people's ability to travel. So what, from a technology point of view, does the digital auction look like compared to that kind of analog one?
Yeah, so I mean, the obvious one is you're not limited to the amount of people you can fit into a room. A digital room can be thousands. You're not limited by the location. You're not limited. Anyone nationally can buy a property anywhere now. You're not limited by the information that you're being shown. So in a room auction, you've got your information that you've got there. You hopefully have done your due diligence and you've checked out every single aspect of that property. But you're only as good as what you're being presented. One thing that we're working on here is sort of adding value data. So when a listing goes through an agent and ultimately ends on our platform, the vendors and the buyers are in a much more empowered position by knowing that it isn't just what's presented to them in the papers in front of them, what they're bidding on in an auction in a room. There's a lot more added value data that's coming from data sources in terms of local Ofsted reports, the market value, the average sale price compared to the area, the professions, what people are having in the area, what the rental yield is in that area. So it's a lot more now that people are having. So as well as removing limitations, you're getting the added value of us using and collaborating with various data partners, some really exciting companies in the prop tech world at the moment, whereby we're there to make sure that in a room you're bidding on something that you're only being told. Here, with what we're doing here and what we're trying to achieve is you're bidding on a very well-informed picture that you can trust. There's transparency in terms of the data sources and that sort of stuff. And yeah, but I mean, that's for the sellers and buyers. But in terms of online auctions and compared to offline, yeah, there's no limitations on users, which means that the vendor is obviously going to get maximum value, because instead of 30 people being in a room, there could be 300 sitting online behind a screen on their mobile phone. They can be all over the world as well. So yeah, location and number is one of the obvious ones.
Another really important aspect is the compliance and auditing as well. So being digital allows the compliance of the likes of anti-money laundering. We know how important that is within our industry right now. You know, there's APIs for areas like that. It's not someone just deciding, you know, there's something wrong here. We physically have APIs that give a full detailed report on every single individual prior to bidding. But then, you know, even while the bidding's happening and after the auction, it collects the entire data, so we can physically see at what point each user stopped bidding. Whereas in a room, you're none the wiser. Everyone just remembers who's won the auction. But digitally, you know, having it digital provides every bit of data, even prior to the winner as well.
And we're not adverse to bringing digital in the room auctions back sometime in the future using the metaverse that's on its way to us. Sure, we'll be able to find an augmented reality blend somewhere down the line. So we can,
it's been discussed.
We'll have both. Yeah.
I suppose the challenge might be somebody say, well, my avatar definitely didn't raise its hand. You know, that wasn't that wasn't me. Somebody hacked my avatar. And so, I mean, I suppose another kind of sense that the market might have is that often people buy at auction without obviously physically seeing the property, and obviously in this sort of pandemic world and by doing it more remotely, there is that sense that people won't be ever physically seeing the property. What kind of things are you doing from a kind of data perspective to sort that, to not so much sort, but to support rather that ability to get that sense of condition, you know, that rich data set? Because clearly the more people know about a property, the more they'll be happy to bid, and indeed the more likely you are to get the true value if there's full disclosure of all the issues of condition, good or bad, or whatever.
Yeah, so there's a multitude of ways really. Ultimately, Under the Hammer as a platform, first and foremost, advertises it on behalf of the estate agents. Estate agents advertise it as they normally would with any other property, so it goes on every portal. There's, with every property, a full search and legal pack, so every single buyer can download that. And again, by having it digital, there's no time constraints, or they don't just have to check it in the room on the morning. They can physically view it at 10, 12 o'clock at night or whenever suits them. So they're fully informed before bidding on any property. As well as that, viewings, they can carry those out during the 30 days if they need to. We encourage all buyers to carry out surveys, etc., if they need to do that prior to bidding. But then also, like what Will touched on earlier, in terms of the other data that we're adding to both buyers and sellers as well, is the likes of what schools are within the area, what the average house prices are in those areas. And I think tying all of these things up together gives an individual full confidence before proceeding to purchase.
Yeah, one of our main goals is to, for any property that's listed through Under the Hammer, for anybody in the world to have enough trust to be able to buy that property and know that data sources are verified, the whole process has been checked thoroughly, all the due diligence has happened, and then from a sort of an exciting sort of future perspective, we are looking into partnering with companies whereby we can actually put people in the property. There's some out there at the moment. What give you actually walkthroughs of the property, etc. So we are looking at making it so you can literally be anywhere in the world and you can look at this property and you're going to be well informed. You're going to trust every sort of data source, and you're going to be able to maybe stand with a VR headset in that property and have a look around and get a real life scale perspective of what.
No, because I mean that's what I was thinking of, because as you say, there are these scanning technologies or camera technologies where effectively one person can do the walk around and then somebody else can enjoy that walk around, that doll's house effect of going into the property and seeing it. As you say, condition, it's not that if the condition is not good, that's still an opportunity for development and for rectification. So it's just knowing the true condition, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it touches back to the mindset as well. Look, that technology is here to benefit everybody. Technology is here. There's so many different avenues of technology that can be used and can be used for people's benefits and the platform's benefits, for buyers, for sellers, for agents, in terms of, and it depends on the mindset that we have. It's, do we champion technology and do we run with it, and do we have these well-informed decisions that we can trust in the transparency, or do we act scared of technology, and do we say no, it's not the way to do it, we have to limit it, we have to, and the obvious answers are there. If you did the SWOT analysis on both of those, the obvious answers are there, that we need to start championing technology and realizing that it's a benefit and it helps us in every single aspect of our life. So again, this is just another one, but there will be it's obvious there will be the mindsets, there will be the challenges, there will be people saying that you can't get a feel for a room from a VR headset. It's going to happen again, but it's about how do we combat those challenges, and that's one thing that we're constantly working on here. The mindset, and how do we encourage and empower and champion people to say, look, we're here to help. This is an aid. This is a benefit. This will help you achieve your goals rather than be against you.
And I suppose, William, that there's always that sense that not everybody will want to have the digital experience, but an increasing percentage will be comfortable with it. And you know, you can't please all the people all the time, but where tech can deliver for certain people, they'll be happy to use it. I mean, it's obviously a challenge sometimes to assemble these digital data sets. What kind of challenges have you had at the most kind of practical level of joining the right data to the right property? Because obviously you need various data sources to assemble. What kind of challenges have you had there?
So far, we've been working, well, we're in early conversations with some other tech partners, some other prep tech companies. I can't name them just yet, but there's not many challenges that we're facing because of how much hard work that these guys have put in. We're going to be linking to their APIs, and we're going to be doing a collaborative partnership approach whereby I think that they've faced the challenges rather than us. So they've verified the data sources, they're presenting it to us, and then we're just we're just championing them as a brand, what they're doing. I believe some of them are ICS tech partners. I can't comment, so I don't want to drop any names.
No, that's fine.
We've been having early conversations. There is 3 companies we've been having conversations with. So I think it'd be unfair for me to say what challenges have we faced, when the challenges we face is just finding the right partner that fits in with our philosophies and our sort of concept. So, and then we're just going to be using their APIs to our advantage, and having that collaborative partnership approach. A lot of our platform will be based around collaboration. We've done a hell of a lot of work internally, and we have our own personal goals whereby people can help collaborate. People will be able to use our API and collaborate and work with us in terms of what we master. Sometimes it's best to, rather than trying to master every single area, we focus on what we initially set out to achieve, and then anything that added wise, we champion other people, we champion other companies who are facing those sort of challenges. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's that kind of best of breed approach where you link to the people who can aggregate that data for you. Excuse me. And I guess the key thing is that trust, that provenance of where the data is coming from. So people know that if they see a particular part of that data room, to use the kind of jargon, that they know where that data is coming from, they know the source, that it's verified, and they can trust it. I suppose even more in a kind of a distance purchase type situation, you need to trust that data because you haven't necessarily had your boots on the ground. So, I mean, and I guess obviously the pandemic has driven a degree of this, but what are you seeing more broadly about the impact of online auctions over the last 18 months, 2 years?
I think agents have actually, well, some agents have come to realize that they need to offer an auction service. Whilst the majority are scared of auction, there is the odd handful that have actually realized that, you know what, we do need to have an auction service to offer this to our clients. And we kind of stopped using the word auction within our company because ultimately the guards go up immediately. So we've rephrased auction as competitive bidding, which is what it is. It's just ultimately finding the maximum value. But I think for me personally, and analyzing the entire market, if we look at the current market where agents are experiencing an overload of viewings, overload of offers, etc., and then just agreeing the first offer that comes in at asking price, it's almost having a negative impact on their actual clients. And I think agents should understand how they can actually add value and guide the their seller, down the path to achieve them the best value anyone's prepared to pay. You know, I've come across the scenario where I've saw on LinkedIn, and we probably all have done it, where we're scrolling down and an agent's celebrating that they've sold something in 24 hours and they've had 100 viewings. You know, for us, that is nothing to celebrate. That is actually just demonstrating how you're negatively impacting the client, and you're just demonstrating how you've just sold something at not maximum capacity. So I think auctions should be understood by everyone. Whilst it's not for everyone, it needs to be made aware of, because in a lot of scenarios it should be adapted, because it's finding the best possible price anyone's prepared to pay, and providing security with the sale. So yeah.
I mean, are you seeing that where adoption is taking off, are there certain types of property, certain areas? Are there any kind of trends where you're seeing it, or is it very patchy? Is it just certain people thinking, yeah, that makes sense, let's go for it, sort of thing?
There is no trend. There is no area that it works for. At the end of the day, every property sells at a given value. No matter what it's listed at, it will sell, and we all know that. You know, wherever a property is experiencing that it will have multiple bids, then as far as we're concerned, that should be sold through competitive bidding, but with the security that it provides. So, you know, agents often, and this is where the agents that are using us and the champions understand that it's for their best properties, the properties that are getting an overload of viewings. But whereas the mindset of agents is, okay, we've had that on private treaty for 2 months, it hasn't sold, let's put it in auction now. And it's like, if you know, this isn't for your worst properties, it's for your best properties. And I think that's what the biggest, you know, going back to the challenges, it's one of the biggest challenges we've faced. It's for the best properties where they're getting a load of viewings, a load of offers, because ultimately that shows how, you know, we're getting the best price for that property.
I suppose it's funny, isn't it, that there is that kind of instinctive, you know, because auctions have been around so long, there is that instinctive sense that actually it's for the distressed properties, or it's where the owner wants to get rid of it quickly, or the condition is such that, you know, it's going to go for a song because it's not in great condition. It's flipping it around in people's heads, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you think, Andrew, we're the only industry that thinks like that. The art world, if you think about art that's going to auction, do you ever think that it's run down, or do you think that it's a piece of art that's going to achieve an absolutely the maximum value that anyone's going to pay for that piece of art? If you think about memorabilia, it's exactly the same. If you think about cars, classic cars, it's exactly the same. The property world is the only industry, probably down to TV shows where people have had it conditioned into them that they're going to find a really cheap auction property and plow some money into it and make a few quid off the back of it. There's this national perception, but it really isn't that. It's more about the method of sale. It's about providing security, using automation if you're an agent, adding value and data if you're a seller. It's much more than just an auction. It's that security, peace of mind, it's transparency, and it absolutely is for any type of property, any type of property, commercial and residential, land. We see maximum value achieved consistently and constantly. So yeah, it is a mindset, and there is reasons for that mindset, but it is only a property industry mindset whereby auctions are classed as run down and you're going to find something cheap. So
I mean, have you used any kind of anonymized data and analytics to kind of make your case in terms of showing how kind of best value has been achieved compared to asking prices? I mean, is that part of the way you actually present the benefit of going, as you say, away from private treaty?
When we're educating agents, we do show them the data of what's been sold, how it's been sold, how much it's been sold by, how much it's achieved over guide price, and how it can benefit everybody. Yeah, we present that data to agents when we meet with them.
So I mean, asking you to sorry, carry on, Indy.
Yeah, I was just saying, we was actually just discussing in the office the other day, just the future of the industry as well. And we was analysing the entire market, and you know, the agents that we're speaking to, we're asking them how quick are you selling properties, and the answers generally straight away, within a couple of days, a week, etc. And I think it's a very big risk and negative impact on the industry if agents are failing to demonstrate how they're adding value to their client, because if just by advertising something on Rightmove, you're getting flooded with interest and agreeing the first sale, what's to stop a seller doing that themselves? If Rightmove tomorrow said, you know what, sellers, you can advertise direct on our platform, what then would stop them being able to do that? So, you know, in order to sustain this industry and the agents, they really have to start demonstrating how they're adding value to their clients. You know, agents shouldn't be advertising to get instructions that we can sell your property in 2 days, 3 days. It's the wrong way to market, in my professional opinion. It should be that, you know, we will get you the maximum value. We will do whatever it takes. You know, we're achieving X amount over market price at the moment. So, you know, these aspects are really fundamental for this industry and the sustainability of it as well.
I mean, do you find that some of the pushback or some of the challenge is the fact that actually, obviously, to go to auction, you do need that data room, you need that full set of information? Are there some instances where people just want to get it on the market quickly, and to be honest, to be blunt, don't assemble that full data set, which means that it's not really suitable for auction because you haven't done that due diligence, you don't have those packs available?
Yeah, so in all honesty, I think, again, the understanding of preparing these packs are misunderstood, because generally people think that they take weeks and months. Our average turnaround from the agent's instruction of their client to then prepare a legal pack is anywhere between 10 days and 14 days. So, you know, yes, it's 2 weeks, but it doesn't mean that the property can't go on the market until the pack's available. So, you know, marketing can start immediately. The pack can be prepared in between that. So, you know, while buyers might be waiting for the pack, they can still carry out every other due diligence that they need. So they can still carry out surveys if they want to get a valuation report in the meantime to see that they can get lending on such property, they can do. So yeah, it shouldn't really be a negative impact. Again, it comes down to an understanding of what it is really.
And also, just to touch on that, there's obviously the exciting prospect of automating a lot of that process for me as well. So I get very, very excited about identifying processes and what can we actually automate in that process to reduce the amount of time it's taking to get those packs together. So can we find data sources where we can cut out people to go and get those data sources? So can we get into the vendors and buyers quicker and whatever else? But yeah, so that's obviously going to have a big impact in the future, how much of that process can actually be automated to reduce that time.
But yeah,
exactly, yes. Carry on.
Yeah, along with that, the transparency that it provides as well. Having everything digital, where not only buyers can access that, but sellers can also see how many downloads they've had of such a legal pack. They can see how many viewings have happened. They can see how many prior auction offers they are. So I think the way we're heading as an industry, sellers, they do feel a bit more educated on what their value's worth. Like if we went 15 years ago and valued a seller's house, it was almost like, wow, I didn't think it would be worth that. Whereas now valuers will go and, you know, value a property, and the seller's automatic reaction is, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So, you know, it's very much changing, and I think the way sellers also want a bit more control and a bit more transparency as well, and that's what the platform provides them. It gives them full transparency on everything that's happening with their property as well.
No, I mean, I suppose it's a great message to finish on, isn't it? That actually people often, sometimes I think, view digital as a kind of risky idea, whereas actually I think the reverse is true in so many ways, that you get clarity,
Absolutely.
you get transparency, you get a much clearer sense of where the data's come from, you get more data and better quality data. So I think it's one of the things to overcome is this sense that actually that pen and paper is better, when actually if we can digitize so many of these processes, not only do we see the productivity, but we just get better data more quickly, and actually you can make better decisions ultimately. So well, it's been great to talk, and I look forward to catching up, I think, in the new year and see how things are going and talk about these themes again.